It's a gorgeous morning. That's all ice over there, and it's beautiful, but I'm stuck in the house. The ramps are icy, and I took a big hard fall recently on an icy morning. My camera gear is all over there, and I slid down the ramp and broke my tailbone. So I got those sticky patches, and there's clear ones on this one as well, but they haven't helped at all. They've got icy as well. So those patches over there are where I got up into the thing to film, into the office to get my gear to film, but I couldn't get down, and so we had to get like boiling water from inside the house and just put a little bit on each of those so I could step down, and then all of these to step up. And so I'm effectively stuck in the house, on the veranda of the house, until the sun melts the ramps, which means when the sun melts the ramps, all the good photography's gone. Or at least the icy morning. Anyway, that's it. But I don't know if we can see it, but it's actually glistening over there. The sun's just hitting it, the ice. It looks beautiful, and it's glistening on the near the mats there. Yeah, so it's a bit of a tricky time. So much I want to do, and so much I cannot do. So I think the only option is to go inside and have a cup of tea. Oh dear. So much I wanted to show you. But anyway, you saw some in the last episode, thank goodness. That was before I had my spill down the ramp. Hello, Trix. You okay? Hello, cutie. So there's the two cameras that were waiting for filming today. Oops. And the drone over there, I had it all set up. I was so organised last night. I had its wings on. I had it all ready. So the ramps are melting. That's exciting. I can get out at some point today. Yeah, look at that. What a difference 10 minutes makes. And the fire is on. So in one of my earlier episodes, I spoke about mistakes I'd made and things I'd learnt by in the process of building a house and having never built one before. But I've since discovered a lot more mistakes that were really only revealed through the process of moving in, which I did over a few weeks. And I just have to learn to live with some of them now. And so I'll tell you the mistake that was made with the office, but that actually works to my advantage. But there were some other really big mistakes made in the house. One of them is that I already mentioned that the kitchen had no drawers. I have found a solution for that, and I'll show it to you later in this vlog. But one of the things I can't change without major upheaval is that I can't reach most of the kitchen cupboards. Yeah, so I'm not tall, I'm not short, I'm pretty average, maybe a little bit shorter than average. But I've lived in a lot of homes. I can't count how many different houses, and I have never had this problem. And in the house that I want to live in for years, and it's not a weekender, it's our actual home, I can't reach some of the cupboards. That's been a major oversight, I feel, from the builder, who's about a foot taller than me. Or not a foot, but at least 6 inches taller. So I can reach, so the cupboards that are fixed around the kitchen, I can reach the bottom shelf of them, but like when you open the door, I can reach the bottom shelf, but I can't reach the top shelf in the same cupboard. And so I've had to buy these little yucky plasticky shelf things to separate it so that I've got 2 shelves on the bottom shelf, and then leave the top shelf totally vacant. And When you live in a very small home, a tiny home, every inch of space is critical. And so now I have things that I store out in a metal cabinet in the shed because it's safer for me to get them, well, it's safer if it's not a frosty morning on the wraps. I couldn't even get them if that was the case. But it's safer for me to put things in the shed. It's a well-sealed shed, that's okay, but I've got empty kitchen cupboards. So that's really frustrating and somewhat ridiculous, that the only way I can reach my cupboards, the top half of my kitchen cupboards, is either get my daughter to do it because she's now taller than me, or put a stand there for me to step onto, and with my mobility challenges that's really dangerous. So what a waste of space. Okay, so that's one thing. Doesn't matter. I've had a lot of anger about this, a lot of frustration that turned into anger, mainly because of the next two things, because these two things have cost me in a way that I shouldn't have had to be charged. So despite the builder asking for the dimensions of my fridge and me giving them accurately, he left 1 centimetre beside my fridge. So I had to buy a new fridge, because if you manage to put a big fridge in with one finger, that's the only bit of space he left, there'd be no circulation for the fridge to run properly, and you can't open the door because you need another couple of centimetres for the width of the door to open. So yeah, I had actually done the right thing and given the dimensions. So yeah. The other thing is the washing machine in the bathroom. So the washing machine is a laundry washing machine, and as I've shown you in an earlier tour, there's taps there. They were put in a place I wish they weren't put, but I learnt to live with that. I had to buy a new washing machine because of that stuff up, because my old one wouldn't fit because the taps were too low. But that aside, I got over that to a degree. But that aside, he's put the taps in, but no drainage for the water that's coming out of the taps into the washing machine to go somewhere when the washing machine's finished with it. Yeah, like my friend Larissa says, common sense ain't that common. I mean, what's the point of putting in the taps? So anyway, there's a lot of positive things about the build. I'm grateful to the builder for sourcing some really lovely lime wash because I wanted a colour on my walls. But what I didn't know when I first signed up to him is that I was his first custom build, and I didn't find that out till about 6 months in. I had done the checks that I could, which was, yes, he was a registered builder, and yes, he had a hempcrete business, and but most of his experience, I think, was in homes that were on fixed sites, not portables. So there's quite a few cracks in the house as well from the move. The thing about that is I feel like I've been the guy's guinea pig, and even though he will have learnt from the mistakes he's made, I have to live with them. So we have to get on with the cards we're dealt, because we are all dealt with things that don't go in our favour, and we either stew on it forever and let it eat away at us, or we learn from it and move on. And that's what I'm doing here. On a positive note, there was a big stuff up with the office that is to my advantage. So what happened was, somewhere along the line, he sent me a photo and said, yeah, you know, the office is finished. But it was all covered in cool room panels. It didn't have the matching steel to the house. And I just said to him, no, it's got to have the blue corrugated iron, what we call colour bond steel on the outside. They're two matching buildings. I didn't order a cool room looking office. And he said, oh, okay, my mistake, I'll wear that. And it's like, well, yeah. But what that means is this office is so warm. Once the fire's been on about half an hour, 15-20 minutes even, this room gets so warm that we actually have to open the door. And so it was -4 last night, and it's in the middle of winter here in Australia. And so the dogs who were asleep on our laps on the lounge, they ended up lying on the cooler floor because it got so hot. We had the door open at least 6 inches on a -4 night because it's so warm in here. But what that does mean is that we use a lot less wood, because once it's warmed up, it's so sealed. The building is so sealed if we haven't got the door open 6 inches. So it means that we can let the fire die down early and just close the door, and it stays really snug and warm. So we not only have the lovely hempcrete finish, we also have cool room panels on the outside. I think I haven't actually got underneath to see whether he took the cool room panels off, but I think that they're still on here because it is so much warmer than the house, and the house is warm and snug. It is half the size of the house and it has no internal walls, so that would also affect the warmth of it. But just the finishes of the two buildings are different. He's got a seal on the bottom of this building and he doesn't have a seal on the bottom of the house. So I think it was just to finish off the cool room design. So sometimes mistakes make our life harder. Other people's mistakes may make our life harder. Sometimes their mistakes make our life easier. Sometimes our own mistakes make our life harder, and sometimes our own mistakes also make our lives easier. So mistakes are a part of life. They're how we learn, and there have certainly been a lot of valuable lessons in this build for me. Okay, so you've seen the kitchen before, if you've seen in earlier episodes, and it's working fine. There are little hot plates there. I just pull it a bit further out on the bench when I'm using it, and I don't tend to put them over here under the range hood where it's supposed to be, where it's set up to cook, because that's too close to water. Water and electricity do not mix, and I don't want to have to keep moving it like all the way over there, and this sink area is really busy sometimes. So anyway, it's working. The breakfast bar is working fine. The pantry with the corner cupboards is working fine. These are the high cupboards. Too high. Thanks a lot. I understand that one up above the fridge. I understand that one being high. I do not understand why these ones, none of which I can reach the top shelf from the middle upwards, I don't understand why they had to be so high. They're higher than any other house I've lived in. We've also changed the position of the two chairs because the view is better for me from this position. I didn't buy 30 acres just to look at one wattle tree from the corner. So that's all working. It's all working. That leads into my daughter's room there. This is what we did to make it work. I had to suck it up and spend some money to get decent sized drawers and a saucepan cupboard. It just is what it is. This is home. It has to work. And look at that gorgeous sky out there. So we use this little oven, which is also an air fryer and a dehydrator. And I decided not to cover this bench with plants as I was originally going to. I've started using it as a food prep area because we get kangaroos and deers, which is probably what Trixie's barking at the moment. We get kangaroos and deers over in the bushland over there, which is beautiful, especially in the late afternoon. We've also extended the kitchen, and so it's not a walk-in pantry, it's a walk-through pantry, and that just leads down to the other bedroom and the bathroom. But that's a little trolley there that all the spices are on, spices in the fruit bowl to keep it out of the sun, and the blender, and the rubbish bin. So that all works. That's all working fine. And then the new fridge that I had to buy, and yeah, we're back to here. So it's working, and it is just about learning from mistakes and getting on with the cards you're dealt. And it's not ideal. I'd have rather not had to spend more money on that. But always determined to find the positives. This is my food preparation bench now instead of over by the hot plates behind me. Thanks for tuning in. By next episode, wattle season will be in full bloom, so expect lots of beautiful bright yellow and gorgeous winter blue skies. Stay safe out there, and remember that mistakes are how we learn, and quite often they work in our favour.